So yeah, this feature is incredibly powerful in the new version of Coding Rooms, and it's all based on our assignment policies over here on the right-hand side. So when you click on that menu, and that's what it refers to over your policies, you could also click this. The default policy when you publish the page is just all learners in the course have access to the page. However, you can set up certain rules inside of your policy, and you can also create as many policies as you need. For instance, you may define a policy for all learners in the course. This is the due date, this is the cutoff date, this is when it publishes, all that stuff. But you may create another policy for just an individual. Maybe Joe needs an extension, and it will override that all learners policy and give it to that specific person. It's all about the kind of specificity of the policy. So all learners is kind of the overarching one, and then sections is a little more specific, groups is a little more specific, and then the individual learner, if they're selected, that overrides all the ones above that type of thing. But what we have in here, and this is a question we get a lot, it's maybe a little buried in the system, so definitely not a basic question. But in here, this is where you can specify if students are going to work as individuals or groups. So you can do your pair programming and stuff like that for the assignments. Who you want to assign it to. Is it going to be all learners? Is it going to be a certain section of students? Is it going to be a group? Are you going to select individuals that are in the course? Available from date. This is when it will actually show up for students in the course. Until, this is when it won't show up anymore for students in the course. The due date is when it will actually say it's due at this time. Any submissions after that date will be marked as late. The cutoff, which will make it so they can't submit at all past that date in time. This is a really new feature we have of displaying the answer sheet or the solutions. The IDE isn't supported just yet. We're hoping to get that out in the next week or two. The IDE will show the model solution, short answer question, show the model solution that you provide. But this will show them the correct answers at a specified date or time, or just when you turn this on, which is like what I would do, would be my best practice. You just click the button and turn it on when you're ready. Same thing with hiding grades. If you do have an assessment and you don't want students to see the grades or something like that until you're ready to release them to all students, you can hide the grades until you're ready or until a specific date and time. And then you can also set up a late policy. So after the due date, you can say for every day that it's late, modify their score by a certain amount of points and stuff like that. So you can specify all these things in the policy as little, you don't have to use any of them, or you could use all of them. They're all available to you.
That's great, Joe. Thank you so much. And the mark is done, I'm assuming means like when I'm done marking them all? Or what is that under the policy button there?
So this is actually something very simple. This was something that we got a couple questions in about, so this is good to cover. Mark is done and submit is just the language the students see on the button they click to turn in the assignment. Early on when we created this version, we had some research that we did where sometimes just having a button that says submit is a little weird for in this kind of version. You can create pages that are readings or practices or something like that. And having that submit button felt weird to students. So you can just make it say marked as done. So all that does is change the language on the button. It does change a couple other small visuals to the students. The ones that you have submit for have a little extra icon on it and stuff like that, that they need to submit something. But that's all that really does. The other toggle that's over here at the page level is the graded one. And this graded toggle makes it so it shows up in the grade book or not. So if you have graded turned off, the page, the score won't show up in the grade book for students or for you as an instructor. And that's great to have off for anything that is a reading or a practice, like something like that. That doesn't show up in the grade book, doesn't clutter any of your view for that stuff.